let's talk more about the fresh face that is Sophie Cunningham. This is a tough chick and a girl that you don't want to mess around with. Caitlin Clark and her enforcer are not playing around. You put hands on Caitlin Clark, you're going to get hands put on you. And Sophie Cunningham stepped up and did what somebody needed to do. And I think Sophie Cunningham is being seen as a little bit heroic today. I can tell you who Sophie Cunningham is. She is the new sensation in the WNBA. And we should have known, looking back on it, that Caitlin Clark and her enforcer, as we are now knowing her, are not playing around in Indianapolis, Indiana. Take a look at this photo from a few weeks ago when they were both injured in street clothes, but they were all business on the sideline. And Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Clark are all business on the court as well. Take a look at that. The Indiana Fever is my favorite team now. NBA included. The Chicago Bulls haven't done a damn thing for me in the 22 years that I've lived here. I moved here 5 years after Jordan's final championship. The Bulls haven't been worth a since Derrick Rose blew his knee out for the 18th time. I'm adopting the Indiana Fever because you know I sure as hell ain't going to be a Chicago Sky fan. That's not happening. And now I've got another player to root for, and I think a lot of folks are realizing now who Sophie Cunningham is after she defended Caitlin Clark after the Connecticut Sun players were roughing her up just a couple of nights ago, and she's making quite an impression. In fact, her jersey is now out of stock, flying off the shelves. If you want a Sophie Cunningham jersey, you're going to have to wait for them to print more. She's number 8, by the way. You're not going to forget that going forward. Taking down Jacy Sheldon on a layup attempt in the fourth quarter after we saw Jacy Sheldon claw Caitlin Clark in the eyes. Caitlin Clark taking exception to that, and then Marina Mabry of the Connecticut Sun coming over and pushing her from behind. Give me a fucking break. We've been asking the question for a long time, who's going to step up and help Caitlin Clark, because the WNBA apparently has no interest in protecting the cash cow that Caitlin Clark is. Your league is relevant for one reason, and it's because of number 22 on the Indiana Fever, and we are past the point of parity in these other players, and let's face it, let's be honest, they're worthless to the WNBA. Jacy Sheldon may be a great person. I'm sure she's a good basketball player. If she disappeared from the WNBA tomorrow, nobody would miss her. Maybe the 25 loyal Connecticut Sun fans out there. Marina Mabry, same thing. Nobody's going to miss her. The league has to protect Caitlin Clark because, God forbid, somebody takes a cheap shot at Caitlin Clark at some point and injures her. Seriously, we've seen her get clawed. We've seen her get these Pearl Harbor job attacks, such as what Kennedy Carter did last year, what we saw Marina Mabry do just a couple of nights ago. And Sophie Cunningham stepped up and did what somebody needed to do. A little bit of rough justice for the Connecticut Sun. And they deserved it. Connecticut Sun coach Rashid Mezian didn't like it one bit, saying after the game that he didn't understand Cunningham's foul. And quote unquote, for me, it's just disrespectful to do that foul when you're winning the game by 17 points. It's completely stupid. You know what I think's completely stupid, Coach Mezian? I think it's stupid to have your players clawing other players in the eye and then having another player on your team come up and shove that player from behind like a coward. That's what I think is completely stupid. I think Sophie Cunningham is being seen as a little bit heroic today by a lot of us because she did what a lot of us, I think, kind of wish that we could do. Stick up for Caitlin Clark. All we can do is stick up for her on social media. All I can do is stick up for her on this program. Sophie Cunningham did what we couldn't do, and I think we took some satisfaction in this. A petition to ban her. Take a look at this. 181 people think that Sophie Cunningham should be banned from the WNBA for misconduct. Shit. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Do you remember the Kurt Rambis, Kevin McHale play from the 80s? We used to see something more intense than that every night in the NBA when I was a kid. What Sophie Cunningham did, man, honestly. Maybe it's just too intense for you. Maybe you need another hobby. Maybe you should collect stamps rather than watch sports if you think what Sophie Cunningham did was out of line. And I assume that those are butthurt Connecticut Sun fans. Take a look in the mirror. Coach Mezian, take a look in the mirror. Jacy Sheldon, take a look in the mirror, Marina Mabry, and a lot of other people around the WNBA as well. I said it on this program yesterday. I don't expect Caitlin Clark to get preferential treatment at all, but I expect her to get equal treatment to everybody else in the league. It cannot be open season on the face of the league any longer. Now let's talk more about the fresh face that is Sophie Cunningham. We've said so many times, Caitlin Clark is the entry point. Caitlin Clark is the opportunity that the WNBA has, but they gotta cultivate more stars. And you can't cultivate them by just having the villain of the week that goes after Caitlin Clark. Now, we got another star emerging. Who is Sophie Cunningham? Let's take a look at her resume. This is Meet Sophie Cunningham this morning on the Ricky Cobb Show. 4-time state champion in Missouri, high school basketball. All-time leading scorer from her school. She was the Gatorade Missouri Girls Player of the Year, McDonald's All-American. She has a resume. Now, is she the greatest WNBA player? No, she's not. She's not going to be famous for going out and putting up 20 points and 10 rebounds a night. But you don't have to score 20 and put up 10 a night to get on people's good side, obviously. And this is a tough chick. And I say that with all respect. This young woman, when she was in high school, if you want to know how tough she is, she actually kicked for the high school varsity football team after their kicker suffered a season-ending injury. He tore his ACL before the playoffs, and there you see Sophie Cunningham putting one through the uprights, playing football. It's like a fucking Disney movie. The kicker's a girl, and a girl that you don't want to mess around with. And it's not just me that is making a big deal of this story. The nightly newscasts were all over it. The scuffle was newsworthy outside of the WNBA bubble, because of course it is. It involves Caitlin Clark, and there it is. Oh my God. We should have put a TV mature warning up before you had this. Oh my gosh, ban her. Send her to the electric chair. What an unbelievable thing. Hey, Jacy Sheldon had it fucking coming. That's how you sort things out. There's a code. Back before we got all soft and everybody became pussies in this society and had to have cookies and go to their safe space if they got their feelings hurt, you sorted out these kind of issues on the field. I had Tom Glavine on the program, the Hall of Fame pitcher, just a couple of weeks ago, talking about how Bobby Cox ordered him to hit Dale Murphy with a pitch because Otis Nixon of the Atlanta Braves had been hit by a pitch by Roger McDowell. That's just the way you do it. You hit one of ours, we'll hit two of yours. You don't fuck with us. And finally, somebody on the Indiana Fever stands up and says, you know what? You put hands on Caitlin Clark, you're going to get hands put on you. And all credit to Sophie Cunningham for it. At least Caitlin Clark gets up when she falls down. Not everybody has the capability to do that. Do you remember this woman? If you're of a certain age, I know that you remember the lady who had fallen and couldn't get up. There she is. The Life Alert lady. I've fallen and I can't get up. She had 3 goddamn seconds and she achieved acting immortality with it. It's an art, motherfucker. Look at her right there, the Meryl Streep of her generation. We all believed it. I wanted to call somebody on her behalf. They cast the right person for that, didn't they? Why do we all remember that? She's fallen and she can't get up.
Help.
Caitlin Clark is a little more resilient than that. But look, everybody is starting to take notice of this. Chris Evert, the legendary tennis player, even getting in on the action, tweeting about it, saying, when will these ladies in the WNBA realize, accept, and appreciate that Caitlin Clark is the best thing that ever happened to women's basketball? Fact check, true. This is a bad look for the sport and what has happened to sportsmanship. We've never seen anything like it in the NBA. When Michael Jordan came into the league in 1984 and started doing Michael Jordan things, it would have been easy for players in the NBA to be jealous of him. All of the advertising revenue he was generating, all of the talk about Michael Jordan, it was actually very similar in some respects to what we're seeing with Caitlin Clark. But you know what? I don't remember a fucking peep from anybody hating on Michael Jordan, because I think the vast majority of the players in the NBA back in the 1980s realized that Michael Jordan was good for business, he was good for basketball, and he was good for them personally. I said it on this program yesterday. These women in the WNBA, they may be making money off the court, some of them. The Angel Reeses, the people who are more famous, yeah, they're making a little money off the court. But they're not making much money, man. What's the maximum salary in the league? It's not even $100,000 if I'm not mistaken. Everybody in the WNBA at night should thank their lucky stars that Caitlin Clark is in the league, and they should say a prayer. They should get on their knees next to their bed, and they should look up and they should say, please, God, please, don't let anything happen to Caitlin Clark. Because if something happens to Caitlin Clark, it ain't going to be good for me. It ain't going to be good for anybody in this league. So women are excelling. Good for you, Sophie Cunningham. Maybe we're opening a new chapter in the saga of everybody in the WNBA hating on Caitlin Clark and being jealous. And you know what? If any other players on the Indiana Fever want to stand up and be shoulder to shoulder with Sophie Cunningham and let everybody know you're on notice, you fuck with us, we fuck with you, that's exactly what needs to happen. And Caitlin Clark and the entire league will be better off for it, because I am tired of these things happening all too frequently. I want to talk about Caitlin Clark's magnificent performance, not what fight has occurred during a game that particular evening. Oh boy, here we go. Here's a segue for you. We're going to talk about The View on this program for the first time in a minute. And, you know, we have said this before, that we show a clip from The View and either Ronnie or I will say, that might be the dumbest thing that we have ever heard on The View. And it's like the bar keeps getting raised. It's like back when they got the new swimming gear a few years ago at the Olympics and there was a new world record like every 45 minutes. This is how it feels with The View. Just when you think they can't go dumber, they can't go less informed than they seem to be on very basic issues, along comes Whoopi Goldberg to compare being a woman in Iran. Well, let's just listen.
It's very different to live in the United States in 2025 than it is to live in Iran.
Not if you're black.
Not for everybody.
Not if you're black.
Guys, don't go to Tehran. Do not, anyone at this table should go to Tehran.
Oh, I call it Iran. It's Iran. I think of Iran. Iran so far away. I listened to Flock of Seagulls too many fucking times back in the 80s. I had a world civ teacher. Look, I'm from Horse Cave, Kentucky. I had a world civ teacher who called Italians Italians. God bless you if you're still out there, Gary Stevens. And thank you for letting me get away with the 17 tardies my senior year. It is appreciated. Whoopi Goldberg comparing being a black person in America today to being a woman in Iran or being a gay person in Iran today. Look, I am never going to minimize the struggle that black Americans have faced historically in this country. Slavery is a stain on the history of the United States of America. So is segregation, the Jim Crow South, you name it. There are a lot of problems when we look at this country in the way that black folks were treated for a long, long time in this country. And racism, yes, I do believe that the supply for racism, it does not meet the demand of a lot of people on the left today, but that in no way negates the fact that racism is real, and when it rears its ugly head, we should all stand up and speak out against it regardless of who we are. With that stated, gay people get executed for being gay in Iran. Homosexuality is punishable by death. Gay men can be executed for consensual same-sex activity. Women have to cover their hair. If they don't wear a hijab, they run the risk of facing execution for protesting mandatory veil laws. And Whoopi Goldberg would sit here and have you believe that in 2025, anybody in American society, let's not just limit this to race, anybody in American society, because of their identity, she's going to compare that to Iran. Sometimes I think, and then she went on to say that America was the greatest country in the world. But I don't think she really believes that. Because this isn't the America that she's describing, the one that I live in. Do we have problems? Hey, listen, familiarity breeds contempt. And for people who have lived in America and have lived in only America and have not been around the world and have not maybe educated themselves on what other cultures and other societies are like, it's easy for them to pick apart America and talk about, well, if Donald Trump wins, I'm leaving the country. Well, bye. Fucking go. See how you like it somewhere else. If that's what you want to do, go have at it. And I would suggest, Whoopi Goldberg, go to Iran and speak your mind on any issue that you feel real strongly about here in the United States of America and see how fucking long you last in Iran. I recommend that you don't do that because you're going to be biting off way more than you can chew. And listen, I'm going to say this for the United States of America. There are people that don't want us to celebrate the 250th anniversary. There were people who thought that having the military parade was terrible. Somehow this was a demonstration of fascism or what. Do you know what fucking country you live in? Do you know what the United States has done historically to promote freedom and justice and human rights? Not just here, but around the globe. The United States is not perfect, my friends. And we should always be striving to be better. We shouldn't be satisfied with where we are now. We've got to get better. There are a lot of problems in our culture. But is there anywhere else you'd rather live? Is there anywhere else you'd rather live? Because if you look at the scorecard of human history, every society has problems, and most of them have or have had problems that far exceed what we have in the United States. I feel lucky to be an American. And I also feel lucky to welcome to the program, as I'm fortunate to do 5 days a week, the international streaming star who joins me from Nashville, Tennessee. He is, of course, Ronnie T-Shirts. Ronnie, dealer's choice here for you. I want to talk about both of the issues that I just covered. You can start with Whoopi or you can start with Sophie Cunningham. We're going to get to both of them. You can decide which we tackle first.
Let's have let's start with Whoopi. You said that was the dumbest thing ever said on The View. Dude, that was the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I'm a big analogy guy, and I've been sitting here trying to come up with another analogy of what could be dumber. What could you say that could be construed as dumber than what she just said. And I can't do it, Ricky. It's literally preposterous. There's no way she believes it. Somehow she thinks that that's the role she plays on this show. It's embarrassing. Like, it's embarrassing. And the fact that none of those other stupid women at that table, with the exception of the one who said she was of Iranian descent, not one challenged her. They just all sat there with stupid blank faces. Like, it's an absolute embarrassment. Sometimes you say things that are so dumb that it just makes me go, you know what? I'm never going to listen to anything else you say again. Not that I was listening to Whoopi.
It is not to diminish anything bad that has happened in this country. I am not excusing the United States of America. I am not excusing bad things that happen here, terrible things that sometimes happen here. But go to Iran for a while, and you'll find out that there are degrees of evil. There are degrees of social problems. There are degrees of inequality. And she's not even talking about the same sport. And Ron, as you alluded to, we've discussed it on the program numerous times. Does she believe it?
She can't.
Is she that dumb? It's hard for me to imagine that she could possibly be that dumb. But if she's not that dumb, then she is playing a very, very sick game, trying to stoke up, people to dislike the country that they live in. That's why it didn't set very well with me when she said, I know, America's the greatest country in the world. Well, it doesn't sound to me like she's describing the greatest country in the world.
No.
She's telling me that America is as bad as Iran. And if America is as bad as Iran, it's pretty fucking far from the greatest country in the world. So Whoopi needs to pull her head out of her ass.
Well,
blank, Ron.
Here's the thing too, and it's wildly insulting, so insulting to that other woman who was of Iranian descent. It's just like when I talk about, when they talk about Trump as Hitler. Like, my mom is Jewish, my wife is Jewish, dude. That's insulting. It's insulting to have people compare Trump to Hitler, to compare the government or this administration to Nazis. Like, it's insulting. Like, that is so insulting. Just insulting.
It's insulting to everybody that voted for Trump.
Correct.
This idea, no kings or whatever. Well, guess what? He ain't a king. He is a popularly elected sitting president. He got the majority of he got the plurality of the votes at least. He got more votes than anybody else, and he got more electoral votes than anybody else, and he was voted in because people wanted change. And he's given it to them, and now, they're going to whine about kings. Real quickly here, Ron, give me your thoughts on Sophie Cunningham. It seems that Sophie Cunningham is a celebrity now, and all it took was one play in one game. That is how hungry we were to see somebody stick up for Caitlin Clark against all of the bullies and the cheap shot artists.
Is there many things in this world that are better than a beautiful badass? I mean, that's what she is. I mean, she is beautiful, and she is a badass, and she is loyal to her teammates. Like, what's her not to like about this girl? Like, she's fantastic.
Listen, she might have to trademark that, Ron. Somebody get in touch with Sophie
beautiful and a
Cunningham's
badass
people.
Well, I know a guy that can make t-shirts.
Me bounds and
I know Sophie a guy that can make t-shirts for her.
Beautiful badass. Call the Indiana Fever. Maybe you and I can align with them and help further the legacy of Sophie Cunningham. Ron, here's another WNBA story for you today. A lot of people taking issue, at least some people taking issue with this promotional tweet from the Los Angeles Sparks. That is Sarah Ashley Barker, Ron, who is I believe she was drafted last year.
Yeah, she went to Alabama.
She's actually the player that Dejanay Carrington yanked down to the ground by that blonde hair that you're looking at right there. And I hope you're looking at her hair. Eyes up, perverts. Because some people are saying this is just too fucking hot to handle. And I'm wondering who they are. I thought all the Shakers were dead. Ron. I thought the Puritans aged out. The Shakers, weren't they the ones who didn't believe in reproducing? It's not a great plan to keep your religion going.
No.
But it's 2025, bro. Have these people that are complaining about that ever been on the internet?
Well,
it's almost cute to me that somebody out there can be offended by that picture.
Well, Ricky, I'm going to take you back almost 50 years. 1977, Jane Stevenson. Do you remember the golfer Jane Stevenson? She was on the cover of Sport Magazine. She was on the cover of Sport Magazine, and the title of that magazine at the time was Sex in Sports. And so this has been going on forever. Unfortunately, there was a scene in the TV show Friday Night Lights, and I'll always remember this. And I told Tyler this. The Coach Taylor was telling his daughter. He said, "Guys are two things, man. They're hungry and they're horny." And so, if you put a beautiful woman on an advertisement or a tweet trying to get me to buy tickets, my biology is going to make me look at it, right? Like, it's just, we are visual creatures. And if Sophie Cunningham or Ashley Barker can be a good basketball player and somewhat of a badass in certain situations and beautiful, like, that's an awesome combination. So I don't see anything wrong with it. It wasn't risque. It wasn't demeaning. She obviously approved it. But yeah, this has been going on forever in terms of, sex in sports, trying to get the male
Ronnie,
attention.
you said, guys are hungry and horny. Some people are saying that this is a thirst trap because some guys are thirsty as well. But back when I was a kid, this is how you quenched your thirst. You didn't need to see a lady in a bra. Every elderly woman in 1977 just called and said, if you're thirsty, there's a pitcher in the refrigerator. This specific pitcher. I think a lot of us remember it. And there was some lemonade in there.
That vacuum seal press top.
Yeah. She offered to get you a snack. That was the kind of thirst trap that I was looking to be trapped by when I was a little boy. Folks, if you enjoy this sort of content, don't forget to sign up for Ricky Cobb's Rewind. It is our bi-weekly newsletter. We're having so much fun with it. A lot of stuff in there that we just simply can't fit into the show and that I can't fit into the day over at Super 70 Sports. We got the Margarita mailbag. Send your photos in. I'll caption them. And it's just a place where I like to gather with the biggest fans and engage with them. So sign up, outkick.com/newsletters, Ricky Cobb's Rewind.